Welcome, dear traveler, to Whispers of Warcraft. Tonight, as you lie warm beneath your blankets, listen closely to the softest winds, for they still carry the whispers of an ancient world. Let them guide you back 10,000 years, when the moon shone upon endless forests and the night elves first rose to prominence. This is the story of Illidan Stormrage, the child of destiny who sought power to protect those he loved, and in doing so, lost himself to darkness. His tale is one of brotherhood and betrayal, of love unreturned, of triumph and ruin. Close your eyes, slow your breathing, let the hush of this story carry you beyond time, into the deep night of Azeroth's past. In the Age of Eternity, the Kaldore, Night Elves, ruled the world from their vast empire. Towering trees rose over marble cities bathed in silver light. Bridges of living wood arched across sparkling lakes. The Night Elves lived in harmony with the Lune, their moon goddess, and drew power from the Well of Eternity, a shimmering lake of pure arcane energy. It was here, near Zinashari, capital of the empire, that twin brothers were born, Malfurion and Illidan Stormrage. From their first breath, the brothers were different. Malfurion, with hair as green as the forest canopy, was patient, calm, and attuned to the natural world. Illidan, dark-haired with eyes like molten amber, burned with restless ambition. They ran together through moonlit glades, climbed moss-covered cliffs, and swam in clear streams beneath ancient oaks. They shared secret words and dreams of exploring the world beyond the forest. Yet, even in childhood, Illidan's hunger for power showed itself. When he watched sorcerers draw arcane symbols in the air, his eyes gleamed with fascination. When he glimpsed the shimmering surface of the Well of Eternity, he felt something inside him stir, a calling deeper than blood. One evening, when the twins were just past their first century, still young by the Night Elf standards, they sat atop a rocky hill watching the stars wheel overhead. Malfurion leaned back against a tree, voice soft. "Do you ever wonder what lies beyond the moon?" Illidan looked up, eyes reflecting the light of a Lune. "I want to see it all. I want to know everything. And I want more." "More?" Malfurion asked, puzzled. "More than this," Illidan whispered. "More than what we are." As they grew, Malfurion turned to druidism, studying under the demigod Cenarius, who taught him the songs of trees, the language of rivers, and the cycle of life and death. Illidan, meanwhile, sought the highborn, nobles who drew directly from the well. He practiced arcane spells late into the night, tracing glowing runes into the air until his hands trembled with power. Each success felt like a step closer to something he couldn't name. His amber eyes burned ever brighter as the well's magic answered him. In the moonlit gardens of Zinashari, Tyrande Whisperwind first met the brothers. A novice priestess of Elune, she carried herself with quiet grace and a fierce, unwavering gaze. Illidan's heart caught at the sight of her. He sought every chance to be near her, offering to carry baskets of moonflowers, walking beside her as she tended temple grounds, lingering when she sang soft prayers. But Tyrande's eyes most often drifted to Malfurion, whose quiet strength and gentle words won her heart. One night, Illidan and Tyrande walked together beneath moon-bathed trees, the air heavy with the scent of jasmine. "Illidan," she asked softly, "why do you always look so far away?" He hesitated. "Because I see what we could be," he said, voice tight. "I see power beyond imagining, and I want to protect you, to protect everyone." Tyrande laid a hand on his arm. "I do not need protection from you," she whispered. "I need you to be here." They paused, eyes locked. But before he could speak, she turned away, moonlight trailing across her hair. The silence that followed was colder than the night air. Deep within Zin Ajari's shimmering towers, Queen Ajara and her highborn devoted themselves to the Well of Eternity, their obsession growing with each passing moon. Illidan, drawn to the well's power, watched the Queen's sorcerers channel arcane energy. He saw them levitate gems, open small rifts, and call forth creatures of flame and shadow. The well's music rang in his mind day and night. He dreamed of light cascading from his fingertips, of demons falling before him, of Tyranda's eyes seeing him not as the second son, but as Azeroth's savior. As the brothers walked the forest one evening, Malfurion spoke with quiet urgency. "There's a darkness in the well, brother. I feel it when the highborn cast their spells. You must stop." Illidan scoffed, anger flashing across his face. "Why do you fear what you do not understand? Why do you shy away from what could make us strong?" "Because power taken without care leads only to ruin," Malfurion said. "Balance is life." Illidan turned away, jaw clenched. "Then perhaps we are more different than I thought." In the days before the War of the Ancients erupted, Zin Ajari's towers gleamed as never before. Gardens bloomed under perpetual starlight. The city's canals shimmered with magic. Music drifted from balconies carved of moonstone. Yet beyond the city's perfect veneer, something festered. Highborn mages whispered of voices in the dark. Strange shadows moved in the corners of the Queen's chambers. The well's glow seemed to pulse with a deeper, hungrier rhythm. And Illidan felt it all, like a storm gathering on the horizon of his soul. Queen Ajara and her highborn had sought contact with mysterious beings beyond the stars. In their arrogance, they widened the well's energies into a beacon, and the burning legion answered. Portals split the night sky. A red star blazed overhead. Fellhounds leapt from swirling vortexes, claws tearing into moonlit gardens. Doom guards descended in wings of fire, sowing terror in Zin Ajari's heart. The first night elves to fall were priests praying at the Temple of the Moon, their prayers silenced by fell flames. Towers toppled as infernals crashed from the sky like meteors. Night elf sentinels rallied in moonlit forests, arrows whistling into the dark. Druids called upon ancient trents and storms, lightning cracking across the canopy. Yet the Legion's armies poured forth unending, ranks of horned demons, pit lords wielding axes the size of houses, dreadlords whispering terror into the hearts of defenders. At the forest's edge, Malfurion raised his hands. Roots burst from the earth, binding waves of demons in place before crushing them with the strength of the wild. By his side, Tyranda called upon Elune, sending silver beams of moonlight to sear fell beasts into ash. Illidan hurled bolts of arcane fire, each blast turning a demon to molten glass. He reveled in the well's power, drawing deeper with every cast. The air around him shimmered with heat and raw magic. His eyes burned so brightly they left trails in the night. Yet for every demon he slew, 100 more emerged from the portals. The forests of Kalimdor burned. Ilune's moon hid behind clouds of smoke. In a clearing lit by fires, Malfurion confronted Illidan as the ground shook with the Legion's advance. "You are drawing too deeply," Malfurion shouted over the roar of flames. "The well's corruption will claim you." "It is the only way to fight them." Illidan spat, sweat and blood dripping from his brow. "Why do you hold back? I do not fear power. I fear what it will do to you." High above Zinajari, Queen Azshara stood upon a balcony of black marble, her eyes glowing with madness. She welcomed Archimond and Manaroth, two of the Legion's mightiest lords, to her palace. "Welcome," she purred. "This world is yours. Shape it as you wish." Archimond's eyes smoldered like dying stars as he looked across the forests of Kalimdor. "This world will burn," he promised. The night elves, driven from Zinajari's outskirts, retreated to the valleys beyond Mount Hyjal. There, Malfurion called upon allies forgotten by most: the demigod Cenarius, the ancients, and the dragonflights. Green, red, bronze, and blue dragons took to the skies, claws and flames clashing with demons in battles that lit the heavens. Cenarius emerged from moonlit mists, antlers gleaming, vines snaking across the ground to strangle Felguards by the dozens. Illidan fought alongside the defenders, but his eyes constantly sought Tyrande. He watched her heal wounded sentinels with soft words and moonlight. He saw how she looked to Malfurion for guidance and comfort. Between battles, he found her alone in a ruined glade. "I can protect you," he insisted, voice sharp with desperation, "if you would just trust me." Her eyes shimmered with sadness. "Illidan, this is not what Elune wants. Power taken in anger only leads to ruin." One night, the three stood together as the forest burned. Tyrande took Malfurion's hand. "I love you," she told him, voice breaking as the flames reflected in her tears. Illidan felt something inside him shatter. He turned away, hands shaking, magic crackling uncontrolled in the air around him. As the battle neared the well, portals widened further. The well's surface began to twist, its blue waters churning with dark, hungry energy. The very ground buckled beneath the feet of fleeing night elves. In the sky, the stars appeared to swirl toward a single point above the well, a vortex opening for Sargeras himself to enter the world. Illidan reached the well's edge alone. Demons lay dead around him, the ground scorched black. He fell to his knees at the swirling waters, overwhelmed by the well's voice, promising him limitless strength. "You could save them," the well seemed to whisper. "All it takes is everything." With trembling hands, he filled 7 crystal vials with the well's waters, each vial glowing with the fury of the storm. Malfurion and Tyrande arrived just as the sky tore open. Malfurion cried out, "Illidan, you must stop!" But the world shuddered. The well exploded in a storm of magic and sound, shockwaves cracking the land. Waves of arcane energy rolled out from Zinajari, swallowing forests, cities, and mountains. Oceans crashed in to fill the wound, tearing Kalimdor into the continents of today. A maelstrom hundreds of miles wide formed where the well had once stood, howling with eternal winds. When the storm settled, the survivors emerged into a world forever changed. The night elves, broken and grieving, gathered upon the shores of a new sea. The Legion had been banished, but at unimaginable cost. Malfurion stood among the living, eyes haunted. Tyrande clutched his hand, silent in her sorrow. Illidan appeared, robes tattered, vials hidden beneath his cloak. His eyes burned brighter than ever. He looked at what remained of his people, and they looked back with fear. As the night elves rebuilt their shattered world, they held council beneath ancient trees. Many demanded Illidan's death for his reckless actions. Some argued that, without him, the Legion might have triumphed. but fear of his power outweighed any gratitude. Malfurion, his own heart torn between love for his brother and duty to his people, declared, "Illidan's thirst for power endangers us all. He must be locked away, for eternity, if need be." Illidan was seized by the wardens, stoic women clad in moonsteel, led by the grim Maiev Shadowsong. Bound in enchanted chains, he looked upon Tyrande one last time. "Please," he whispered hoarsely, "you know my heart." Her eyes glistened with tears, but she turned away, unable to watch. Deep beneath Mount Hyjal, a labyrinthine network of stone tunnels and crystal caves became Illidan's prison. At its heart, a chamber sealed by runes and guarded day and night by wardens housed the betrayer. Maiev herself ordered the final wards. "None shall release him," she vowed, "so long as I draw breath." Illidan was chained in a sphere of shimmering blue energy. His warglaves were taken, his robes stripped to rags. The magic of the prison weighed upon his mind, slowing his thoughts, dampening his rage, but never extinguishing it. The world turned without him. The night elves founded new cities, raised temples to Elune, and formed the druidic order that would watch over Kalimdor's wild places. And beneath Hyjal, Illidan waited. He spent centuries remembering every moment of his life. The sting of Tyrande's rejection, the thrill of power at the well, the terror of the Sundering, the hate in Malfurion's eyes. Sometimes he shouted into the darkness until his voice broke. Sometimes he sat silent for years, staring into the unending night. Maiev did not merely guard Illidan. She built her life around his imprisonment. She memorized every word he ever spoke in his cell, every twitch of his chains. She saw herself as the warden of all Azeroth's potential ruin. In quiet moments, she stood outside his sphere, voice low. "You will not break me, Illidan Stormrage." Above, the world changed. Humans built kingdoms. Orcs came through the dark portal. The scourge rose in Lordaeron, all while Illidan dreamed and raged in darkness. Finally, the Burning Legion returned. Archimond, the demon lord once banished, stepped onto Azeroth once more, leading legions of Felguards and Infernals toward Mount Hyjal. Night Elf sentinels fell back, desperate and outnumbered. Tyrande, now High Priestess of Elune, faced annihilation. Under moonlit skies thick with ash, Tyrande prayed to Elune. "Show me the path," she pleaded. "Our people cannot survive without hope." A voice answered in her heart. The storm must meet the storm. She knew what had to be done. Tyrande gathered her bravest sentinels and descended into the Barrow Deeps. They fought Maiev's wardens in narrow tunnels lit only by their own moonblades. Metal rang in the dark, sparks flaring with each clash. Maiev herself appeared, face pale with fury. "You would unleash him," she cried, blades whirling. Tyrande raised her staff, moonlight blasting Maiev's warriors from their path. "The Legion will destroy everything," she answered. "Even you." At last, they reached Illidan's chamber. He lay slumped in chains, hair long and ragged, but eyes still burning. Tyrande stepped forward, voice low. "Illidan Stormrage, will you fight the Legion again?" He raised his head slowly, hope and disbelief mixing in his gaze. "If it means seeing their blood on the ground, yes." She shattered his bonds with a single beam of Elune's light. The sphere fell apart in a cascade of sparks. Illidan stood free, muscles tensing, breath ragged. For a moment, silence hung between them. "Tyrande," he whispered, voice cracking. "You came for me." "I did," she answered, eyes full of moonlight and memories. The world needs you once more. Illidan stepped from the barrow deeps into night air for the first time in 10,000 years. The scent of forests and smoke filled his lungs. The stars above seemed almost new. Demons swarmed the land beyond. Illidan raised his hands, arcane power flowing from his fingers in rivers of light. The earth shook as fellhounds dissolved under his fury. He laughed, a deep, wild sound, as if the night itself belonged to him. With the burning legion surging across Kalimdor, Archimonde's doom guards and infernals laid waste to night elf villages. Moonwells ran black with fell taint. Trents burned where they stood. Tyrande led her sentinels in desperate rearguard battles, while Malfurion sought ancient allies among the wilds. Illidan walked the edges of every battlefield, seeking the strongest foes, his spells reducing Felguards to smoldering husks. Yet in his heart, he knew it was not enough. Through captured demon spies, Illidan learned of the skull of Gul'dan, a relic infused with the power of the fallen warlock who had once shattered Draenor itself. The skull's dark whispers promised power beyond imagining. Under moonless skies, Illidan slipped away from the allied forces, Naga shadows moving silently in his wake. He crossed blackened rivers and burning clearings until he reached Felwood, a forest dying under the Legion's corruption. Felwood had once been a realm of ancient trees and emerald canopies. Now it was a nightmare. Trunks blackened and twisted, leaves oozing green slime. Rivers bubbled with poison. In the fetid air, corrupted satyrs prowled, their eyes glowing fell green. Illidan strode among them with fearless purpose. When they lunged, he met them with blazing arcane bolts. Their bodies fell smoking to the corrupted earth. In a clearing ringed with broken stones, the skull of Gul'dan hovered above a dais of black rock. Green flames danced from its empty eye sockets. The air buzzed with infernal energy. Illidan stepped closer, the whispers growing louder. "Take me," the skull purred. "Become what you were always meant to be." Raising the skull high, Illidan began to chant. Storm clouds gathered. Lightning cracked across Felwood. The forest shook as fell energy poured from the skull into Illidan, twisting his form. His muscles rippled with new power. Horns curled from his brow. His eyes, once amber, flared with brilliant, burning, fell green light. Wings of leathery shadow burst from his back with a roar that shook the dying trees. Pain ripped through him, but it was nothing compared to the ecstasy of limitless power flooding his veins. Illidan looked upon the world with transformed sight. He saw the flows of magic beneath every tree, the fell taint suffusing the land, the darkness lurking in every demon's soul. "Now," he growled, voice deeper and layered with echoes, "I have the strength to destroy them all." With a single gesture, Illidan unleashed a storm of fell fire. Corrupted satyrs screamed as flames swept through the forest, purging them in green light. The Legion's corruption recoiled before him. Rivers ran clear where his magic touched. New leaves sprouted on branches still glowing with his power. Drawn by the storm, Malfurion arrived in Felwood with a small band of druids. He staggered back at the sight of his brother's monstrous new form. "By Elune," he breathed, "what have you done?" "I saved our people," Illidan roared. "I cleansed the forest with power none but I could wield. This is not salvation, it is corruption," Malfurion shouted, tears of grief filling his eyes. Tyrande emerged behind Malfurion, staff still faintly glowing with the lune's light. She stepped toward Illidan, her gaze torn between horror and heartbreak. "Is this truly what you wanted?" she whispered, voice trembling. to damn yourself so completely." Illidan's wings twitched. His fell eyes softened for a fleeting moment. "I did it for you, for all of us." Malfurion raised his arms. Roots burst from the ground, binding Illidan in place. "I cannot allow you to continue on this path, brother," he said, voice cracking. Illidan roared, shredding the roots with fell-charged claws. "Then you are my enemy," he bellowed. The forest shook as the brothers faced each other. Tyrande cried out, begging them to stop. But Malfurion stepped back, his druids surrounding him. "Illidan Stormrage," Malfurion declared, voice echoing with sorrow. "I cast you out from our people. Never return." Illidan's wings folded as he turned from his brother and Tyrande, heart burning with anguish deeper than any wound. He vanished into the shadows of Fellwood, each step carrying him further from the home he had sworn to protect. After his exile, Illidan fled to the desolate reaches of Kalimdor's coast. There, under a blood-red sky, Kil'jaeden appeared in a swirl of fell fire, towering over Illidan with eyes like burning stars. "You failed to destroy the Night Elves," the Demon Lord boomed, "but I will grant you one final chance." Illidan dropped to one knee, wings folding against his back. "What would you have of me?" he asked, voice rough with exhaustion and defiance. Kil'jaeden explained that the Lich King, Ner'zhul, had betrayed the Legion by claiming Northrend for himself. "He grows in power each day," the demon hissed. "You will destroy him before he can rise." With a wave of his hand, Kil'jaeden summoned an image of the frozen throne, a spire of ice towering above endless glaciers, the Lich King's dark aura swirling like a storm around it. Knowing he could not face Northrend's horrors alone, Illidan reached out to two allies, Lady Vashj and her Naga, who rose from the ocean depths with serpentine grace, and Prince Kael'thas Sunstrider, exiled prince of the Blood Elves, whose people burned with hunger for magic. They pledged themselves to Illidan's cause, bound by desperation and a shared thirst for vengeance. Illidan's Naga cut a path through frozen seas, icebergs shattering beneath their dark ships. Kael'thas's spellbreakers raised walls of fire against the biting cold. Together, they built fell obelisks and dark shrines in the frozen wastes. Snow fell in endless sheets. Howling winds carried the screams of the undead as the scourge answered the Lich King's call. Ghouls swarmed Illidan's forces. Abominations rolled across the icy plains, their patchwork bodies impervious to all but the fiercest spells. Frost worms descended from black clouds, breath-freezing Naga and elves where they stood. Illidan's magic burned like a second sun, each blast obliterating dozens of undead. He hurled fell meteors into the scourge ranks, leaving craters that smoked in the frigid air. Atop the great steps of Ice-Crown Glacier, Illidan reached the foot of the frozen throne. Arthas Menethil emerged from the storm, clad in black armor, Frostmourne glowing with pale, hungry light. Their eyes locked. Illidan's fell-green against Arthas' icy blue. "You should have stayed in exile," Arthas growled, voice like cracking ice. "And you," Illidan snarled, spreading his wings, "should have stayed dead." They charged. The world seemed to hold its breath. Frostmourne met Illidan's twin warglaives in a clash that shook the glacier. Sparks flew as steel bit steel. Frost magic and fell energy collided in brilliant, violent flashes. Arthas fought with ruthless precision, each swing of Frostmourne heavy with the Lich King's will. Illidan countered with the speed of the storm, his wings propelling him into dizzying arcs as he struck from every angle. The storm roared around them. Thunder boomed across Northrend. There were no armies watching, only swirling snow, the howls of distant undead, and the eternal night. They fought until both dripped blood onto the ice, their blades locked, their faces inches apart. Frost crackled along Arthas's gauntlets. Fellfire flickered across Illidan's horns. With a roar, Arthas slipped inside Illidan's guard. Frostmourn's edge slashed deep across Illidan's chest, black blood steaming into the frozen air. Illidan staggered back, wings faltering. Another strike sent him crashing to the ice. Frostmourne rose for the killing blow, but Arthas paused, gaze fixed on the frozen throne. The Lich King's voice called to him alone. Arthas stepped past Illidan's broken form. He climbed the jagged stairs to the frozen throne, Frostmourne humming with dark joy. Illidan watched, consciousness fading, as Arthas shattered the ice, donned the helm of domination, and became the new Lich King. A wave of death magic rolled across the glacier, rattling Illidan's bones. Lady Vasha's Naga reached Illidan as he bled upon the ice. Together with Kael Thas's remaining magi, they wove spells of shadow and water, opening a portal back to Outland. As Northrend storms swallowed Arthas' coronation, Illidan slipped through the dark gate, defeated but alive. They emerged in the shattered realm of Outland, a place of floating islands, rivers of lava, and skies torn by emerald lightning. Illidan fell to one knee on a black plateau, eyes blazing with hate and shame. "This world," he rasped, wings folding raggedly, "this will be my sanctuary and my empire." Illidan gazed across Outland's shattered horizons. Islands of black rock drifted through the twisting nether like silent leviathans. Storms of fell lightning split skies the color of bruises. Rivers of molten stone wound through canyons where monstrous creatures roamed. He smiled faintly despite his wounds. Here, far from Azeroth's judging eyes, he would build a dominion free of meddling druids and cowardly kings. Illidan made his lair in the Black Temple, once a Draenei sanctuary, now a fortress of onyx towers. He carved his symbol into its highest spire, a mark seen for leagues across Shadowmoon Valley. There he gathered his armies. Lady Vasha's Naga slithered through underground lakes. Kael Thas blood elves erected crimson banners above spires of netherstone. Akama's broken Draenei pledged themselves out of fear and desperation. Illidan's rule stretched across Hellfire Peninsula, Zangarmarsh's fungal forests, and Netherstorm's floating islands. But Outland was not empty. The Pit Lord Magtheridon had claimed it in the Legion's name, his fell orcs rampaging unchecked. Illidan marched upon Hellfire Citadel, his forces clashing with Magtheridon's warbands in fields of green fire. Felguards shattered the earth. Naga coils crushed orcs by the dozens. Blood elf magisters incinerated demons in torrents of arcane fire. Illidan himself leapt through the battle, his warglaives cutting down infernals with feral precision. Deep in the citadel's blood-soaked halls, Illidan faced Magtheridon. The Pit Lord roared, swinging his axe like a falling mountain. Illidan darted aside, wings propelling him faster than thought. Fell energies clashed in explosions that cracked stone. Finally, Illidan vaulted onto Magtheridon's chest, both glaives driving deep into demonic flesh. The Pit Lord's death roar shook Hellfire Peninsula. Illidan chained the fallen demon in the citadel's depths, draining his blood to forge new fell orcs loyal to him. From the Black Temple, Illidan sent messengers across Outland, demanding allegiance or death. He ordered fell orc chieftains impaled on obsidian spikes. Naga warbands enforced his will with brutal precision. Kael'thas spread propaganda of Illidan as Outland's rightful lord, yet cracks formed beneath this iron rule. Akama began to question his place in Illidan's empire. His people, the broken Draenei, whispered of betrayal in dark corners of Shadowmoon. In Azeroth, news spread of Illidan's reign. Horde and Alliance leaders, fearful of his power, reopened the dark portal. Waves of champions crossed into Outland, forging alliances with the Shatar, Aldor, and Scryers to challenge Illidan's armies. Heroes cut swaths through Hellfire's fortresses, freed Zangarmarsh from Naga control, and shattered Kael'thas's power in Tempest Keep. Illidan watched from the highest window of the Black Temple as lightning flared across the sky. He knew Azeroth's armies approached, his Naga coiled in Shadowmoon's rivers. Blood Elf spellbreakers formed ranks upon temple walls. Kael'thas's betrayal, his secret pacts with the Legion, came to light. But Illidan had no time to hunt him down. His focus shifted to survival. The champions of Azeroth scaled Shadowmoon's cliffs, cutting down fell reavers and patrolling demons. They crossed the temple's outer gates, each step bringing them closer to Illidan. Inside, Maiev Shadowsong, who had tracked Illidan across worlds, emerged from shadow to aid the attackers. Her blades flashed through demon guards as she whispered, "At last, my hunt ends tonight." In the highest chamber of the Black Temple, a storm of fell lightning crackled. Illidan stood alone, horns silhouetted against Outland's roiling sky. His wings spread wide as he called down waves of green fire. "You are not prepared," his voice thundered as heroes stormed the chamber. They met him in a maelstrom of spells and steel. Holy light clashed with fell magic. Arrows flew through whirlwinds of shadow. Illidan leapt, dodged, and struck with speed beyond mortal reckoning. As the battle raged, Maiev stepped from the shadows, voice cold as moonlit steel. "It ends here, Illidan." She lunged. Illidan turned, warglaives meeting her crescent blades. Their duel was swift and savage, echoing across the temple's vaulted halls. Sparks flew as ancient foes clashed in a dance of vengeance. But at last, Illidan faltered, a hero's blade finding its mark. Blood sprayed across the black stones. Illidan staggered, wings folding. Illidan fell to his knees, breath ragged. He looked up at Maiev, eyes blazing one final time. "I was the hunter," he rasped. "Now, I am hunted." As fell fire guttered from his wounds, his eyes softened, almost human. In that instant, he seemed to regret every path he had chosen. After Illidan's fall, Azeroth's champions turned their eyes homeward. The Black Temple fell silent, its halls echoing with the ghosts of demons and betrayers. Akama claimed the temple for his people, vowing it would never again harbor tyranny. Across Outland, Illidan's armies scattered. Some Naga vanished into the oceans. Fell orcs turned on each other in vicious struggles for dominance. Kael'thas retreated to Netherstorm, wounded but unbowed. Illidan's body lay in a crystal coffin deep within the temple's heart, guarded by Maiev's wardens. Years passed. Across the cosmos, the Legion's fires stirred once more. Kil'jaeden and Archimonde were gone, but Sargera's burning will reached toward Azeroth, promising a final, apocalyptic invasion. In secret, the Naaru, beings of pure light, prepared a weapon against the Legion. Their prophecy spoke of the child of light and shadow, Illidan Stormrage. Led by Maiev herself, heroes of Azeroth returned to the Black Temple. Though they had once felled Illidan, they now sought to awaken him. Through ancient rites and fell relics, they restored Illidan's soul to his preserved body. His chest rose with a ragged gasp, green eyes snapping open with a blaze brighter than ever. He stood, wings unfurling, gaze sweeping across those who had revived him. "You dare wake me?" he growled. But as he saw the Legion's ships blotting the sky, his expression shifted from rage to grim determination. Illidan joined Azeroth's armies on the Broken Isles, where fell storms lashed the land and demons poured from the tomb of Sargeras. He led his demon hunters, warriors who had given up everything, even their own eyes, to wield fell power against its creators. Together, they carved paths through legions of Doomguards and Eridar. On Argus, the Legion's burning world, Illidan faced Kil'jaeden one last time. Their battle raged across airships drifting through green thunderclouds. Fell beams split the sky. Kil'jaeden's claws tore open reality itself. Illidan answered with his glaives, each strike a storm of fury honed by millennia of hatred. At last, Illidan cast Kil'jaeden down, his enemy's roar echoing through Argus's dying skies. In the final confrontation, Illidan stood with Azeroth's greatest champions before the Titans themselves. Sargeras, dark and titanic, sought to pierce Azeroth's heart, but Illidan refused to return home. Someone must watch him, he told the Titans. Someone who knows what he is capable of. Blue and silver light filled the seat of the Pantheon as the Titans chained Sargeras across the cosmos. Illidan watched as the dark Titan's rage shook the stars. Sargeras hurled his sword at Azeroth, a final hateful gesture, but the world survived. And Illidan, now jailer to the greatest evil the universe had known, remained behind. As the Titans departed, Illidan turned to Azeroth one last time. He remembered moonlit gardens, his brother's quiet wisdom, and Tyranda's gentle eyes. "Remember me," he whispered, voice drifting across stars. "Not for what I was, but for what I tried to be. Tonight, dear traveler, you have followed Illidan Stormrage from the forests of ancient Kalimdor to the shattered skies of Outland, and finally to the heart of the cosmos itself. His was a life of fury and sacrifice, of terrible mistakes and moments of unexpected heroism. Even in darkness, he fought for a world he could never truly call home. Thank you for joining Whispers of Warcraft, where every legend is told softly and every shadow has a story. May your dreams be peaceful, your night long and restful, and your heart warmed by the light you carry within you. Good night, traveler, and sleep well.